Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. It's the deadline day edition, and as you can see, we've got a packed show for you tonight. Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
Aye, good. Was at Scotland press conference earlier this afternoon, Daniel, speaking to a couple of players, and Stephen Naismith ahead of Friday night's World Cup opening qualifier in Copenhagen against Denmark. So, you know, that's to look forward to. But I think today is really only about one thing, isn't it? As the clock ticks down.
We've also got Record Sports Michael Gannon. Rick, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I was thinking that I haven't seen these many boxes on a one call since the family quiz during COVID.
That's a very good point.
Did you want
it? Aye, right. Actually, my barn is going a bit COVID barn. Actually, I could do a haircut. You have to shave my own head again.
Go for the old Ukrainian drug dealer haircut, yeah.
For old time's sake, I might take the clip off my own head.
We've also got in one of the boxes Scott McDermott. Scott, how's it going?
I'm okay, Daniel. You all right?
I'm very good, thanks. It wouldn't be transfer. Sorry, go on, Scott.
I was just going to say, I'm just looking at Mick's room there, seeing he's still kidding himself on with that running machine in the background.
Wait, it's covered in dust.
It's just a clothes hanger now, Scott.
There's some wet scants hanging out drying on that thing now.
It wouldn't be transfer deadline day, though, guys, without the transfer guru, the one and only Scott Burns, and he joins us live out and about in the transfer mobile. Scott, how's it going?
I've run out of fuel.
This is
end of the road. I've run out of fuel, but don't tell Dave Cormack. I'm parked outside Cormack Park here.
This is like Christmas Day for you, isn't it?
Every day's like Christmas Day. What with you guys?
Very good point.
Says all the right things.
But what's happening, Burnsy? What can you tell us? I mean, I saw your story on Record Sport Online earlier on about Kevin Nisbet in Aberdeen.
Yeah, that deal has now been agreed. A six-figure fee has been agreed with Millwall. A 3-year deal has been agreed with Kevin Nisbet. He is currently at London Airport, ready to fly up to Aberdeen tonight. I think he's due in about 10ish to complete that deal. So he will be the first one through the door tonight for Aberdeen. They're looking for another one or two, but that's they've been working on the Kevin Nisbet one for a couple of days now, and it's a big relief to finally get that over the line, because they had two bids knocked back over the weekend, well, today and over the course of Saturday, and today they had a couple of bids knocked back. So it looked a bit up in the air, because Nisbet was back in the Millwall team at the weekend and was still part of Alec Neil's plans. But once Aberdeen came in and offered a long-term deal, I think Kevin made it clear to him.
The Burnsy mobile.
Oh, there
he's
you
back.
go.
There you go.
Sorry.
You're back, Burnsy?
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Aye, sorry. Aye. A signal here. Sorry. It's better than it, but maybe better than the neighbour's Wi-Fi. So, Kevin Nisbet made it clear that once
he's actually parked in the neighbour's front drive now.
They don't know yet. They're not home yet. As soon as it was a long-term deal on the table, Kevin made it clear to Millwall that he wanted to go back to Aberdeen. So that'll be the first business of tonight. But I said I think I would expect a midfielder to arrive at Pittodrie, Cormack Park later tonight, and possibly another striker.
What do you think the final fee is going to be for Nisbet, Scott? Because I get told this morning that Aberdeen were going to push hard today to get the Nisbet deal over the line. But the suspicion seemed to be that Millwall are holding all the aces here and can drive the price right up. And Aberdeen, because they're under pressure from the supporters, will eventually fold and meet the price, but the price will be big.
Well, this is the third offer. So, but I think it's a decent sized fee, but it's probably not as big as people think.
Okay.
When you say big, what do you think is big?
Well, I don't know what we're looking at. 1.2, something like that.
No.
Okay.
Less than half.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good bit of business then, isn't it?
That was a no-brainer, isn't it? That sort of fee.
Yeah. Terrific.
For a pro goal scorer and on a 3-year deal.
Aberdeen really badly need a striker.
I was going to say they need something, don't they, after their terrible start to the season?
3 league games, no points, no goals. So they need something, but Kevin Nisbet will certainly improve the team, but they need another 1 or 2 signings certainly of quality tonight. to certainly get their season kick-started, because the shine is quickly coming off that Scottish Cup one.
What else is happening, Burnsy? What else you got in your notebook?
Celtic, obviously, Sebastian Tanutki at Hammarby. That's
Yeah.
a goal now. A fee has been agreed. He's on his way across to Scotland.
We think the
finalise
fees
his
around
move
about
from
5
Hammarby.
million. About 5 million for that one, Burnsy.
5.5 was one earlier on, but I think Celtic have included more add-ons. But
Right.
my understanding is that the player has pushed for this. Hammarby didn't want to sell. They made it clear to him, but the player has said to him he wanted to go. So he has been the driver in this one and getting this Celtic deal over the line.
So that's one
Right.
wide issue sorted.
One. Yep. They're still in for another winger. And obviously the centre forward thing is certainly an issue where they're looking at least two, with the looks like Dolberg. Kasper Dolberg now looking like he's possibly going to Ajax. That's leaving them with a lot of work to do before the 11 o'clock deadline.
I think Dolberg to Ajax now looks absolutely nailed down, Burnsy,
Yep.
from what we're hearing. And I think that's a real bit of a hammer blow for Celtic, because I just get the feeling that they thought they were there with that deal. So Ajax have sort of thrown a spanner in the works at the 11th hour, and I think that is now, it's this snowball effect. It's where are we now? 7 minutes past 6, 11 p.m. deadline, and Celtic have got so much work to do in this, and what's remaining of the window, the 4.5 whatever hours are left. They're going to have to pull some rabbits out of some bags, otherwise they might have a busy car park later on.
Certainly, Brent, Dolberg was the one that Brendan Rodgers wanted.
Yeah.
So to not get him will be a major disappointment. And then, of course, you've got the knock-on of Adam Ida at Swansea as well. He's left hanging on. So,
Well, on that, Burnsy, Thomas in the comments, and by the way, if you're watching at home, you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so. Thomas Burns says, surely the board can't sanction the sale of Ida. You'll have to come back to Celtic. If they don't get Dolberg, I mean, is Ida still going to go to Swansea, do we think? Or
I think so. Yeah, I don't think they're going to back out of that deal. I think the fees are around 7 million, and I think that will go through. It does leave Celtic short. It's really interesting that in the last half an hour or so, Daniel, Yang had been seemingly, he was actually in Birmingham ready to sign. I think he'd passed his medical. That deal has collapsed at the last minute. Yang's on his way back to Glasgow, we're told. Now, you wonder, does that mean that there won't be a second winger either? And that Yang's been told, well, I'm sorry, you can't leave. Well, I think there's also interest in the player from Ghent, right enough. So is it that Ghent have come in and beaten Birmingham at the punch in terms of a bid? I don't know. That's unclear. But it's a strange one that he's heading back up the road right now.
Burns, is there any other transfer tidbits in your big sack of transfers?
and just one earlier, I mean, it looks like Stephen Welsh, Celtic, is going to Motherwell on loan for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's a good
Which
move for him.
I think it's a good move for him, and it's a good move for Motherwell as well. Obviously, he had interest from Plymouth and another Belgium club in the window, but the issue for Stephen was that Celtic only allowed 6 outgoing international loans, and they weren't prepared to let Stephen go on one of them, so it left him limited, and that's why they've had to look at a domestic loan for Stephen.
Okay. There's one other one, Bunsey, in terms of the Celtic situation, incomings that we'll need to monitor. Have you heard anything about David Datro Fofana?
There seems to be, there's a bit of chatter than that earlier on, wasn't there?
Yeah, it would appear that Celtic have contacted Chelsea about a potential season-long loan deal for him. And that might be another reason, if he was to be coming on the way, then again, why would you block Adam Ida going out the way, especially if you're going to recoup 7 million? I said they'd need to make a loss on Ida. It looks as if they've accepted that themselves. But it does leave them desperately short. I think Celtic are going to have to sign, if Fofana, if they can get a deal with Chelsea for him, I still think they need another striker before the window closes tonight. I really do. And I don't think the fans would accept anything less.
I think you might see 1 or 2 loans for the English Premier League once their window closes.
Yeah, 7 p.m. onwards.
it's always a window of opportunity for Celtic then after that, isn't it? And they always seem to pick up one or two on that. I think that's what they might be hoping for.
Burnsy, is there anything else you want to add before we let you get back to the transfer mobile?
Interesting. The only one obviously a big one for Hibs fans is whether Lyndon Dykes is going to end up at Easter Road tonight or not.
What's the latest on that?
I'm told that there's also interest from Bolton. So obviously they've spent quite a lot of money this summer. They'll probably be able to pay more wages, but I think the player might be more inclined to move to Easter Road. So I think it depends if a deal can be done or agreed with Birmingham tonight. So I think that's another one that will go close to the wire.
And do we think there's any chance of Kieran Bowie being snaffled before the 11 p.m. shutdown?
No, I mean, there's been a bit of chatter at Rangers and Celtic online. I checked that out a couple of days ago with the players' camp, with Hibs and with legal firm, and there doesn't seem to be any movement in it whatsoever. You know what I mean? The Hibs, certainly, it would take a big offer for them to sell Kieran Bowie just now. And I don't think that any of the clubs that have been linked with him would be willing to pay the sort of fees that Hibs are looking for just now. I think he's there for the longer term. And when they do sell him, he'll go for big money if he keeps going. Yes.
Good news for Hibs.
Yeah, absolutely. Burnsy, it's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is, having you on the Hotline Live. I know it's going to be a busy night for you, so we'll let you crack on.
All the best. I better move before the neighbours come back in. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Burnsy.
Take care. All the best.
What's that thing you can do on Christmas Eve? You can Santa tracker. We should get a Burnsy tracker.
Well, look, we mentioned Celtic there. I need to go through some of these comments because, as you can imagine, Celtic fans aren't particularly happy. William says, get the Sharks out at Parkhead. Thomas says, Fofana, I'm sure Preston and Charlton are in for him, dear God. This one, heads need to roll at Celtic, absolute shambolic. Mark says, Celtic fans should boycott the Europa League. Andy says, how is it that Celtic are this badly organised? They make the SPL look like a Mickey Mouse league, like the English all call it. And Dennis says, Brendan will walk tomorrow and Scott Brown will be the cheap option to take over. I mean, just on that one from Andy, Mick, how and why are Celtic in this position?
Listen, we're now probably hours away from a kind of, we'll have an internal review and we'll look at the lessons that have to be learned and make sure this doesn't happen again. Having heard the exact same thing 12 months ago and 8 months ago, listen, this has been a pretty, even for Celtic's kind of late night shoppers routine, this has been a shambolic transfer window. To be sitting in the last day, I mean, listen, I said on our Facebook Live earlier, the transfer deadline day is to add a little bit of these sprinklings of magic in the last bit of the shopping, or to kind of cover yourself if someone tries to buy one of your players. It shouldn't be to build a team. Celtic are needing 3 and 4 players on deadline day to give not to progress, not to develop, not to kind of take the club to the next level, what they keep saying, right? To maintain the side they had 12 months ago, they need 3 or 4 players today. So it has been a shambles. And listen, there'll be reasons why it's been a shambles, but either way, it's been a shambles. And they're now, and it looks like Tanecki's a done deal. As I said earlier on as well, the Hammerby saying an hour ago, not for sale, as long as you get another couple $100,000, then he is for sale again. We thought there was some shenanigans going on there. That looks like it's now been agreed. So I think he's heading to London for his medical. Yeah, Fofana's now mentioned, but this is the market now Celtic are going to be dipping in. It's the, as we said earlier on, it's the whoopsie shelf at Asda. It's the who's left over.
The old yellow stickers.
The yellow sticker brigade now. So it's the guys who are surplus to requirement at their clubs who you can pick up. And by the way, there is some players you can pick up in that market. Celtic have done very well in that market. It's how they got Cameron Carter-Vickers. It's how they got Jota, Bernardo. They have managed to get guys in that market and who've done very well. Carter-Vickers is a great one. Checked in at 5 to midnight. They weren't even looking at him. The offer landed in their lap, and they said they'll take him for a loan deal. Eventually, he signed a permanent deal, and he's been a massive success. So it can be a good market, but usually for your wee extras, not for your building your team. It's not a sign of future planning. Guy Fofana, I mean, he's been at Chelsea. He's one of these guys that the Chelseas and your Arsenals and Liverpools and Man City, they buy 1 million players from all over the world. They loan them out on with loan fees. They sell them for 9, 10, 15, 20 million quid. You look at guys that have had 9 appearances in the Carabao Cup and they sell them for 15 million quid. He's one of these guys who was on loan at Union Berlin, I think he was at Burnley for 6 months, wasn't he, as
Yeah.
well?
Burnley,
He went to Turkey. I think he got injured last season. So he's clearly one of the whoopsie counter guys that's going to be getting out somewhere. And listen, Celtic will be relying on that being a big market, because there will be after 7 o'clock down south, there'll be a raft of guys who are available to go on loan elsewhere. And Celtic could quite conceivably pick up 2 or 3 of these guys. But it might get them through to January, but it's not a cohesive transfer strategy. And at some point, there's going to be somebody sitting with a suit saying, well, I apologise, it's not been good enough, we'll learn the lessons, it won't happen again, we promise.
Mick, surely the bigger picture here is, though, I mean, there can't be any doubt now, surely, about Brendan Rodgers leaving at the end of the season, can there? I mean, in the summer, we were all talking about, could it be his last year, will he sign another deal? I mean, surely this transfer window's just killed any doubt about that. I mean, he can't stay beyond this season after what's happened, surely.
No, listen, why would he? It doesn't need to hassle this. I mean, having to scratch around, putting teams together in late windows. And see, there's not been any progression really over the 3 years. It's amazing when he first came back. Remember, some of the kind of flighty rhetoric was that he's back and they mean business. They're going to crank it up. They're going to heavily invest. It's all about the Champions League. It's going to be £10 million players. None of this bargain buying nonsense. It's going to be something different. They're going to break records and all the rest of it. And you're like, well, has it happened? When that first summer they signed, 10 players, average price of about 1.9 million quid. How many of them are left? I mean, Yang's currently sitting at the Greggs and Southweights alongside Adamida. It's one of the last ones. Bernardo, don't know what's happened to him. There's very few of those guys left. Then obviously last season was slightly different. A bit like this window, waiting till late, overpaying for guys who didn't really cut it. So it's nothing but kind of the same old problems they had. And by the way, it gets back to these first spell in charge. Nothing's really changed. You remember the John McGinn saga, the Terminado chat and all this kind of stuff. So if you're Brendan Rodgers, you're thinking, why bother like this every year? By the way, on the flip side, if Brendan Rodgers his contract's also running out, but would you offer him a new contract at this point in time? The team's just been papped out of Europe. They've lost the Scottish Cup final. They've lost 8 games in 2025. They've not won to beat Rangers for a year in the league. Haven't won in 4 games against Rangers, 5 to take it to extra time in the cup final. So is that a guy you offer a new contract to just now? Probably not. The reasons why that's happened is because of what's happened behind the scenes, obviously. But the whole situation just now is just a wee bit untidy. A manager who looks so
untidy. Yeah,
exactly. That's been kind. But it looks like a manager who's kind of resigned to kind of where this is going. Weird thing is, I don't know. Somebody's got the vibes from Brendan Rodgers that he might hang about if he thought it was worth hanging about for. But this whole window, I mean, he can say himself, he's tired answering the same old questions about transfer. Yeah. It's not.
I think this window's the final nail in the coffin, Mick. I really do. Unless something incredible and really ambitious happens before 11 p.m. tonight, I think that'll be that. Brendan Rodgers will keep his promise to the Celtic supporters. He will not leave unless he's asked to before the end of his third year. But I think that he will find this intolerable. I also have to say, Mick, I've said time and time again, even though things were really slow, even when it was getting up to the window for the Champions League qualifiers, I was sure that Celtic would spend money and spend significant sums before the end of the window, because they always do. But this summer is absolutely not the case. Well, and that I find I genuinely find staggering. Now, I'm sure there might be reasons in terms of they tried to get deals. They were close to doing a deal here, or they were close to doing a deal there. But this is a club with money piled up in the bank vault. Selling Adamida for $7 million. Yang, we'll see if that one goes through or not, but it's the $3 million. So they're actually bringing in more than they're spending.
Yeah.
This summer. And I find that astonishing and so hard to fathom. And it does suggest to me, if you're Brendan Rodgers, what's the point? What's the point? I'll see out this season, and then we'll shake each other by the hand and wish each other all the best. That's what it feels like, unless there's something coming, something that we don't know about, something that's going to just, slacken everybody's jaw between now and 11 o'clock tonight.
He said something last week. He said something. He was defending the kind of board a wee bit, but also kind of slating them at the same time in the kind of politician style, which he's very good at. But he said something. Everyone's all connected at the club, right? And clearly they're not connected. There's something between the manager and the recruitment and the board are not connected, because the targets they're going for, they've been unable to get. And the reason why that is, they'll need to explain why that is. I suspect it's over wages. Celtic are rigid with their wages and they won't budge. And the wages they offer at that stage in the window aren't going to get deals done. And that's, whether they like it or lump it, that's the market. We're now living in a world where you're selling guys like who played at Celtic pretty mediocrely for 24 million quid, and he's probably going to be getting 56 again a week. This is the world they live in. I mentioned earlier, Celtic's biggest signing this summer with Barrett Wisher cost less than Alan Stubbs cost in 1996. I mean, 30 years ago. So that things have changed. So that the players that they've identified they can't get over the line early because the wages aren't big enough. And that, listen, you can argue whether they should get paid. Unfortunately, that's the market. And it means these guys are going to wait and hedge their bets for better offers, and better offers have come in, and they've been left high and dry. And they're now left late in the window, out of the Champions League, and they're now at the whoopsie counter looking to see what they can pick up in the last bit of the window.
And in the comments, Mark says Celtic haven't won a meaningful game in 2025. This one as well, Keith. David Gillespie wants answers, because Keith kept telling us all summer Celtic were going to spend big.
Yeah. And I'm utterly at a loss to explain, because they always do. Now, whether or not it satisfies the fans, whether or not they think they've spent it on the right players, whether or not they think they've overspent on some players, or they've adhered too strictly to the model, which is spreading their chips and buying, as Mick said, 5 guys for 3 million quid rather than 1 guy for 15 million. Whatever it is, this would be, if nothing significant happens between now and tonight, this would be the first summer window where Celtic board have just abdicated the responsibilities in terms of helping a manager to reinforce his squad for what's a massive campaign ahead. And let's not forget, Daniel, there is still the Europa League, and I know people are turning their nose up at the thought of playing in the Europa League. We had Celtic, the Champions League team, and all this stuff. Europa League is a great competition, and if Celtic can get tooled up properly to compete in it, Brendan Rodgers isn't going to be turning his nose up at the thought of leading Celtic into the last 8, the last 4, maybe aiming for a final. Brendan, that would satisfy Brendan Rodgers, and I'm sure it would satisfy the fans, even those that would far prefer to be playing in the Champions League. They would get right behind it, and they'd get engaged in the Europa League. And yet Celtic have this opportunity to do something at that level, which is significant. Don't tell me, as I said the other night, how many Celtic fans did the calculator say were in Seville? So the Celtic fans liked it fine then. And yet, here we are. It's 24 minutes past 6. And nothing continues to happen. And, the idea of bringing in, whether it's Fofana on a loan deal, that's not going to appease anybody. It's certainly not going to inspire Brendan Rodgers or make him feel wanted, or, fire him up for the prospect of what's to come this season. I'm actually at a loss. And that's why in situations like this, I always think you better just wait and see, hold your fire, and just wait and see what happens. Because I'll be astonished if Celtic's board allow themselves to be in the position of being seen not to spend money this summer, when the fans know that the money's there. That one, to me, these are clever guys. That would be an extraordinary stupid move in terms of their relationship with our support, which is already at the brink and has been unhappy all summer.
The cynics would say, I'm sure cynics will say the board don't want to spend the money just now because of what we've spoken about, if they know Brendan Rodgers is away at the end of the season. But as Mick says, that's no joined up thinking. That's no way proper clubs operate. Whether the manager's going or no, as Jacko says, you need to have a squad capable of going competing in the latter stages of the Europa League, which I'm sure they want to do. And also, Mick said the other night on here, Celtic should be thinking beyond, even this season. They should be thinking about Champions League qualifiers, the following season, whoever's in charge, whether it's Brendan Rodgers or somebody else. But definitely for the outside, it genuinely feels like they're saying, well, look, we're not going to, Brendan's wanting big signings, spend big money, but we know he's not going to be here in 8 months. So what's
What's the point?
Listen, the squad's decent enough. Probably looking across the city, Rangers can't win a league game. They're thinking, look, we'll be absolutely fine here with the squad that we've got, and then we'll deal with it next summer. We'll have a new manager, but that's the point. They'll just find themselves in the exact same position again next summer, scrambling about with a new manager, try to build a squad again. It's just no joined up thinking.
I don't think that's into thinking either. I mean, listen, the two guys have signed so far this window, two main first team players, or three first team players, Kieran Tierney, Barrett Wisher, and now it looks Benjamin Negrin. They all signed 5-year deals in the summer. So they knew the Rodgers situation 3 months ago, and they signed 5-year deals. I expect anyone else coming on a permanent deal will be getting another 4 or 5 year deal. It happened, listen, when Ange Postecoglou was in charge, that he signed. And listen, we thought at the time it was a risky move bringing in 3, 4, 5 players from the Far East. Obviously, but the guys from Japan, some of the Korean boys. And you think at that time, it was seen as a bit of a gamble, but they all got lengthy contracts. And even that's been known that Postecoglou was in Scotland for a good time, not a long time. Do you know what I mean? So it was the club have got a kind of idea that the managers come and go, and the players will remain. So I don't think that even comes into thinking, because, like you say, they have got. Listen, Celtic board know that if they can ride out this period, get 3 or 4 guys in tonight, get a good advantage in the league, maybe win the League Cup, eventually beat Rangers again for the first time in a while. You know that it's in a couple of results in Europe, all of a sudden things are okay again, and the heat's off them for a while. So that's what they're banking on. So I don't think that the managers. I think that's separate to the kind of recruitment issue. I think that there is a problem. There is a problem with recruitment. I like it a lot. I mean, I know they get upset with you suggesting that, but there's something not adding up with Celtic and recruitment.
Well, Mick, like we've all said it. Kyogo leaves in January, not replaced. Nicholas Kuhn, Celtic seemed in a rush to accept that offer to let Nicholas Kuhn go at the start of the window. And, in normal times, the way Celtic are very clever at doing things, Nicholas Kuhn doesn't leave until they've got the replacement for Nicholas Kuhn halfway in the door. But that hasn't happened. The squad is undeniably weaker than it was with Jota still out for at least the rest of this year. I'm totally staggered by it. I get it, right? So you've mentioned 3 starters are in. You would think that Tenekte would probably be a starter. Celtic would certainly hope so, because they're desperately short in the wide positions. So there's a 4th, but there is not a Celtic fan out there that's going to say it's okay, unless there is. Tell us if you are, guys. If you're a Celtic fan that's satisfied, if just let's say for argument's sake, Tenekte comes in on a £5 million deal from Hammarby, and Fofana comes in on loan from Chelsea. Is there a Celtic fan out there that would be happy with that? Would think that was good work?
Don't think so.
No, to lose Kyogo in January and to be sitting at 6:29 on deadline day, not knowing who the main striker is going to be for the season, because the guy they spent £9 million on last summer is somewhere on the M4, hanging about down towards Swansea, waiting to find out what's happening. And they don't know who they're going to bring in to be the main man for the rest of the season. I mean, that's not a strategy. That's not. I mean, they've had nearly 9 months to replace Kyogo. To be getting to this stage and still haven't replaced him. Listen, Brendan Rodgers was desperate for a striker in January.
Yeah.
And there was disappointment not getting the striker in January. To still be in that situation in September the 1st at 6:30, it defies belief, really.
It's crazy.
Honestly, it's just, it's madness. The ground, Fofana to me, just looks like, I think their names chucking is it Charlton and Preston are talking about going. If this is what they're left competing with for a striker at this stage, something has gone wrong.
Daniel, you've got the stats on Fofana, don't you?
Well, not just he played at Burnley. You mentioned, Mick, 6 months at Burnley in 2024. He played 15 league games and scored 4 goals. He was on loan in Turkey last year at Göztepe, and you say, Mick, he got injured. He only played 3 games.
He's scored 10 goals since the beginning of 2023. So 10 goals in 2.5 years. He's played in 3 different clubs. Again, nothing great, no great shakes. Listen, he's obviously a bit about him. He's one of these Chelsea guys that are he's 22 now. Never really had a sniff So it might be a superstar, but
Doesn't
But
look
the
it.
point is, Mick, there's no way Celtic were interested in David Dato Fofana
Aye.
6 months a year ago. This isn't a guy that's
6
been
days ago, Scotty.
6 hours
Exactly.
ago. 6 hours ago.
They've probably seen his name coming up in Sky Sports News, gone to Preston and Charlton, thought, oh, we can get in and get him. It's like, just because he's available, you said earlier on, Mick, about there seems to just be this loans list down south of guys that are Premier League clubs want rid of on loan, normally for a hefty fee. Fofana's name's been linked with loads of clubs. That's the saddest thing about it for Celtic fans. As I say, this isn't a guy they've scouted and Brendan Rodgers really likes and all that. I mean, I'm just not having that at all. It's getting down to the last hours. Who's available? Who could we get? Who could get done? Who could get done quickly in terms of registration and all that? I mean, it's desperation.
Scott, you know what it's like. You know what it's like. You know it's like at this stage. I mean, there's a certain agents and sports agencies that clubs are with links with, and it is literally the stage. It's like, I need A, B, and C positions filled. What can you get from me? And you come back and say, well, this guy could get this guy, and this is the stage that Celtic are at right now. This is not long-term scouting or building a file on a guy. I said it last week. I mean, Brighton are signing guys that they spotted doing a keep up in a play park when he was 5. Do you know what I mean? This is scratching about at the last minute, trying to see what they can get.
Another former player of Brendan Rodgers, Raheem Sterling, he's still looking for a club. Just saying.
Brendan Rodgers has a very good relationship with him. I think the problem that Celtic would have there, and I think one of our viewers has thrown that name in as well. Interesting. I think the problem, one, would be wages, would be an enormous issue. But two, I believe that Raheem Sterling wants to stay in England, wants to stay in London. His son is at the Arsenal Academy. And I think there's interest from the likes of Fulham's and West Ham's. So I'd be really surprised, although the Brendan Rodgers factor could come into play on that one. But I, for personal reasons, I believe that Raheem Sterling, would prefer to stay in London. And by the way, this isn't the same Raheem Sterling that we all knew 4 or 5 years ago. There seems to be, I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if it's an attitude problem or if he's made his money and he's lost the love. But he's nowhere near the player that he was when he broke through under Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool, that's for sure.
I have some breaking transfer news, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Swansea City have officially announced the signing of Adam Eder.
I told you that one to go through it.
Yeah, just 1 minute ago. He's now a Swansea City player. So there you go.
Listen, after 36 hours sitting in the Southwaite's Greg's, they'll be much relief to the big man, probably.
I wonder if he'll pass his medical now.
Aye, that's two of them, apparently. The fee was £6 million, but they chucked in the mileage cost for the last 3 days as well.
In the comments, Luke says, can we now talk about Rangers, please? We've got plenty of comments coming in regards to them as well. Rangers is okay, says, what do the guys reckon for us? Cornelius and Chermiti on the way. Just waiting on the announcement. Could there be a late deal for Raksaki? Club have been keen on him all summer. No permanent deal agreed. And Luke also says, so happy Raskin is staying. Do you envisage it being a busy night, Scott, for Rangers?
Fairly busy, Daniel, I think. I mean, just like Luke saying there, I think Chermiti and Cornelius will obviously get announced pretty soon. They seem to be in the building, putting the kind of finishing touches on deals. So they two look as if they'll sign. I'd be amazed if they don't get a left back in before the deadline. Because at the moment, they've got Jayden Magoma on loan for Brentford, who, looks a decent young player. I think he's still only 20. He's thrown into the deep end the last couple of weeks, got a Champions League double-header against Bruges, including that Mollen away from home in Belgium. And then obviously his first Old Firm game, I thought he did okay at the weekend, but I don't think Rangers can go the full season with him as the main left back. There'll be very little competition. So I'll be absolutely staggered if they don't get a left back in. I think
Cornelius can play left back, Scott.
Aye, he's more a left centre back, won't he? I think
he's left sided centre back, but he has played on numerous occasions as a left back, so that gives him a bit of flexibility and cover, perhaps.
That might be in their thinking. I think they've been linked to a couple of fullbacks. Gilbert, who used to be at Villa, is now at Lecce, although he mainly plays on the right. And I think Andy Newport was arguing earlier on they probably still could be doing with somebody in the right, given that Max Aaron's kind of current form. They've been linked to a few others. Equa, the boy used to be at Sunderland, now at St Etienne, but we think because it looks like Nico Raskin's going to stay, that'll maybe kill that one off in terms of he's a defensive midfielder. Diakite, who I think's at Ream, striker they've been linked with. But again, if they're going to get, they've got Majovski in, and now they're going to get Chermiti over the line, albeit it looks as if Cyril Dessers will be away tonight. I think he's in Athens at the moment. I go to Athens about 3 a.m. I think the last I spoke to one of the journalists over in Greece, they expect that deal to go through with Panathinaikos, even though Panathinaikos and DAK were in from it looks like it will be Panathinaikos for around £4 million, which I think's decent money for him, for Rangers to get in. So it'll be interesting to see they go for another striker with Majovski and Chermiti in. Obviously, they've still got Danilo there, so I think it'll be pretty busy for Rangers, but certainly these two, they'll get these two over the line. Then I think there might be one late on. And I say I'd be surprised if it wasn't a left back.
Luke in the comments section says Yusuf Chermiti for £8 million. He's not a proven goal scorer. Keith, I was saying to the guys earlier on, I mean, for £8 million, you could have got Vaclav Cherny, you could have got Abdullah Sima.
Vaclav Cherny's on the move today, by the way, for £5 million.
So he was available, aye.
Yeah, I think he's going to Besiktas. And, there's a player that I know that Barry Ferguson was saying towards the end of last season, whatever you have to do, try and do it here. Because this guy is, an exceptional level of player and a guy that he was proven, tried and tested, hang your hat on him. And also Scott says there, £4 million is a good price for Dessers. Dessers, 52 goals over 2 seasons? And they're paying double that amount for Chermiti, apparently. And there is nothing so far in his CV which would lead you to believe he's going to score 50 goals over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So I find that strange. I can hear what Scott said. I find that strange. I think that Rangers have made a real mess of this transfer window. It remains to be seen. Also, they've got until 11 p.m. to finalise things. As Mick was saying about Celtic, at least Rangers are in the position that have done most of the heavy lifting with just a few hours to go. But has the heavy lifting really convinced anybody? I'm looking at the standard of the players that have brought in. I don't see upgrades. And now you've got Kevin Thelwell, a sporting director, who I think signed Yusuf Chermiti for Everton and paid £15 million for them. I didn't see anybody else banging down Everton's door, but Kevin Thelwell's prepared to spend £8 million on him this time.
That's why, Jack, I said earlier on to Daniel, I mean, Rangers' recruitment kind of policy now, the transfer model is obviously to try and buy players relatively young and cheap and try and sell them on the way they've done with Egerman and Jeffrey, obviously, most recently. So the faith, if they're going to pay £8 million for Chermiti, the faith they're putting in this young boy, because if you're paying £8 million at 2021, you must think that you're going to get.
You're not sitting on a bench, Scott.
20. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you must, I mean, if you're spending £8 million for that outlay, I know Mick was saying earlier on, £8 million doesn't get you that much these days. That's the kind of that's the market. £8 million still a lot of money for Rangers to spend a player. The biggest they've spent, I think, since Tory Andre Flo back in the day at £12 million. If you're spending 8, you must think that this boy is going to progress and develop and score a barrel load of goals that's going to make him worth 15, 20 million in 2 years. And that's a huge leap of faith.
Scott, you're absolutely spot on. This is what I'm saying about the I think there's been a real kind of heavy layer of arrogance attached to the way Rangers have gone about their business over the course of this summer. If you've been in England for 2 minutes, then you'll smash it up in Scotland type attitude. Yusuf Chermiti, we're saying Dessers. I know that Rangers fans are really frustrated with him. He's a frustrating striker to watch. He would need, he would miss 4 or 5 chances regularly per match, maybe even more than that. But he's still weighed in with the goals. And Chermiti at twice the price, so they've sold Dessers for 4, buying a boy for 8, and the responsibility on his shoulders now is fans will expect him. And clearly, a calculation has been made by Kevin Thelwell that this is safe. This is a safe bet. This boy will score at least the same amount as Dessers. I'm not sure that I've seen enough from the decision making that's been going on at Ibrox over the summer to have any reason to solidly believe or trust in Kevin Thelwell's judgment.
Dessers, sorry, Daniel. Dessers, I think, got 26 last season. Eagleman gets 16, right? So they've sold, whatever you thought, Eagleman, I think you still get 16 goals. Now, so what's that, like 42 goals? Still nowhere near enough for Rangers to go and challenge for a title. So you're bringing in Majowski and Chermiti. You must think they're going to get more than 40 goals. Yeah. They have to. They have to. So, and listen, Majowski, there's a wee bit more confidence just because he scored goals in Scotland. He knows the league's a bit more experienced, full international. But they think the two of them, as the two new guys coming in, are going to need to score a lot more than 40 goals between them. For the money they've paid, 8 million Chermiti, the Majowski deal will go up to just over 4 million with add-ons. It's a big outlay, and they're going to need to deliver. Big pressure, and as Jacko says, obviously it's still relatively early, but you're looking at the recruitment just now. The players that have come in, Joe Rothwell, Max Aarons, Oliver Antman, all sitting on the bench at the weekend. It was the old guard they relied on at the weekend. Your Barons, Taverniers, Diomandis.
Yeah.
It's no looking great at the minute recruitment wise. So they really need these. They really need these two strikers to be bang at it. Chermiti in particular, even though he's young, but with that transfer fee, he's going to need to score goals.
So you've got Chermiti coming in, Derek Cornelius. And what are you expecting then, Scott? Are you expecting anything else after that tonight for Rangers?
As I said earlier, I think they need a left back in. I know what you're saying about Cornelius can shift across, and obviously Cornelius coming in, you still get Suter, Giga, Fernandez. They'll have plenty of centre back options, so Cornelius could shift across. But I think for games at Ibrox where you're playing against teams that you're going to go and attack and expect to beat, you don't want a defensive left back. You want a guy flying up the left flank. And as I say, I just think for Magoma, 20 years old, I think he's a decent young player, but he's more of a kind of development, kind of project player, if you like, I think. And as I say, I'd be really surprised if they don't get a more experienced attacking left back. And that would be my bet for the night. As I say, I think if Raskin had gone, they'd have definitely needed a midfielder. 100%, but the Raskin news, me and Daniel were talking about it earlier. I mean, that's I know Chermiti's big money, but Raskin staying, I think, is arguably the biggest news of the deadline day for Rangers.
If Russell Martin plays him, Scott, because this then becomes the next story.
Exactly.
If something happens before the deadline and Raskin leaves, I think Russell Martin would heave a sigh of relief at this point because I think it removes an issue. But how does tomorrow look?
Jack, I'm convinced. I'm astonished that Raskin's going to stay, given everything that's happened that we know has happened in the last few days. The meeting with Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell at the training ground where Nico Raskin was told he wasn't in the squad and he wasn't to turn up at Ibrox, and then even the games, even the comments afterwards for the manager talking about, I picked a team the day that was going to run for me and play for this club. Hinting that Nico Raskin wasn't willing to do that. I just think for this relationship to mend itself, I'm just fascinated, intrigued to see how it's going to pan out. And look, Raskin's a difficult situation because it's a World Cup year. He wants to be playing for Belgium. He's in the squad for these games coming up, so he has to be playing. He can't really be sitting with the bomb squad for the next 6 months. There's no chance of the World Cup. But as I said earlier, I mean, Andy was saying it looks like Nico Raskin's going to eat a bit of humble pie and sit down with Russell Martin and basically ask what he has to do to get back in this team, which is great for Rangers fans. But I'm just amazed because, as I said earlier, I mean, the modern game, it's all about player power and that. You don't see situations like this. That looked irretrievable at the weekend in terms of Raskin. It looked as if he was gone. That was it. Finished. Never played for Rangers again. And suddenly we're looking, few hours left in the window. It looks as if he's going to sit down with the manager again. Try and put things right and then get himself back in the team. It's going to be fascinating.
One last visit, guys, to the comments before we wrap up, because there's so many coming in, and if you're watching at home, we really appreciate you contributing. AJSC Tech says desserts, I think he means Dessers, was a goal-scoring cheat code, even better than Cholak. Sean says letting Dessers go could be something we live to regret. Your loyal Muppet says I'll listen to Figo rather than Keith, and that's in regards to Chermiti. I think Luis Figo apparently rates him high. And this one, Keith, I smiled when I saw this. Your old pal Dennis, who likes who likes to stick the boot in, he says, Keith, why don't you wear your Celtic shirt on the show? Rangers have spent big, you're mocking it, but having a meltdown because Celtic are spending nothing. You're showing your true colours.
Okay, Dennis, back in your box, pal. Deary me. Scotty, listen, I don't know why Daniel decided to read that out, but
it was just because it was Dennis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like getting Dennis on.
Yeah, Dennis. Scotty, Cesarin Raksaki. All afternoon, we've been hearing that Rangers are still at the table, that Celtic might even be at the table. Have you got anything on that?
No, really, other than, I mean, he's been a name that's obviously been mentioned. It feels like the whole summer. Rangers for weeks, and then obviously Celtic more recently. Jack, I think he's another one of these names me and Mick were talking about on this loan list with the likes of Fofana.
It's been circulated
today. The Whoopsie counter again.
It has to be. I mean, he's just been there for so long. I mean, I don't know why nobody's picked him up as yet. Listen, I think he's a decent player. I've not seen too much of him, but a couple of games I did see, he was at Sheffield United on loan, and he looked like a decent wide player, pretty dangerous.
I think the Sheffield United fans liked him, didn't they? They rated him.
I think so. So I'm not saying it'd be a bad signing, but it's just a name that's constantly been there. And I'm not sure if Rangers, I don't know, they're going to be in the market for another wide player. They've obviously got Antman, Gassama, Moore already there. I don't know, they need another one. Maybe. I mean, Raksaki, that might be one that is really late on. I mean, you're talking about the English window closing and maybe picking people up late, either Rangers or Celtic. That might be one that happens late because the boy has to move on.
Scott, does he play left or right sided? I can't remember if what side he plays on. I've only seen him a couple of times here and there. Is he a right sided winger?
I think he's right sided.
I think he's
right sided.
Again, much as I'm bewildered by Celtic's business, I mean, what I'm hearing about Tunetke is he's a left sided winger, which Balak is also a left sided. I think he can play both right enough, but preferably in the left. You get Maida who plays left. Jota, when he comes back, plays left. I'm looking at the right side, and you've got James Forrest and James Forrest. So I mean, Yang is now currently winging his way back up the road from Birmingham as well. Although I think the Belgian market's open for another few days, hasn't it? So I think Belgium could be where he's going eventually. But I'm just thinking if that right side of the outside right is still a problem for Celtic. I think Balak can play out that side. Didn't look as if he's a speed merchant the other day.
No.
Looked like a guy firstly cut inside from the left. So I still think Celtic have got issues in that right. So I'm wondering if Raksaki is available and he plays that right side, he might be one Celtic would have to go and try and force the issue with, because that's what they need more, I think, than anything at the moment. As well as obviously the fact there's no striker now, because Adidas now done his interviews at Swansea. He's got a scarf above his head. So now they're really needing to get a move on with the striker search. But they could do a right wing as well.
Singing the Blues says Rangers should rack Saki, Russell Martin. It's a good one, isn't it?
Yep.
Sleep better tonight. Is there anything else we should add, guys, before we round up our deadline day hotline special?
I think the only other thing, from a Rangers perspective, is that Oscar Cortez is away. Mm-hmm. So there's there's a perfect example of the Rangers transfer business being all over the shop. They've forced themselves into a situation. The lawyers couldn't get them out of the contract. They had to spend £4.5 million to make that a permanent deal this summer, and he's now gone on loan to Sporting Gijón. So
he's got Jack. He's got to be up there. I mean, no harm to him, but and I know he's had problems with injuries. But along with Matondo, Cortez and Matondo have to be up there with two worst signings in recent times. I mean, the money they've spent on them, the wages involved. We were led to believe.
what was the fee for Matondo, Scott?
I think he was about 2.5 at
That's
the
what
time.
I'm saying. This is. I think this Cortez was double that again. So
He's 4.5, and will be in decent wages. I mean, Matondo, we're led to believe, is on about 28, 30 grand a week. I mean, I think he's injured at the moment, so he's not going to go anywhere in this window. But honestly, I mean, the recruitment for both clubs, I genuinely, I know we're almost kind of having a laugh and a joke about it, but the recruitment for these two clubs just has been nowhere near good enough. And how people are, and I'm not necessarily talking about the people that are there at the moment, the kind of jury's still out in a lot of people, but you think they're asking 4 or 5 years, especially at Rangers, obviously, the recruitment has been so bad, and how people are getting away with it, how it's been allowed to continue. And you're right, I mean, there's Cortez, a perfect example, tying yourself into that deal, £4.5 million, and now you're having to send them in loan with no obligation to buy, by the way, no option to buy. He'll be coming back at the end of the season. And look, he's still relatively young. He has had injury problems. Does he go over there, do well, come back? There might be a player there. You're clutching at straws, though. Really clutching at straws.
Guys, I think the best comment for us to end on is from Daz. He says, tomorrow's Hotline Live is going to be very interesting. Once the window shuts, we'll know for sure how the land lies. And we'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow, where, we'll pour over all of the drama from today's deadline day. But for now, Scott, Mick, Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Right, I'll go and dig into the final. What's that? 4 hours left, Scotty? For us, the boys in the back shift, 4 hours and counting.
4 hours, guys. I'm away to make pasta.
Good luck, guys, tonight. I'm sure it'll be a busy night for you. Thank you very much for all the comments, and thank you very much for watching at home. And as I say, we'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Hope you can join us then. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.